afternoon and welcome to Gang. As you can see, it's for those who are, let's say, for the first time to the Gang, it's a different venue than the usual one, an auditorium of banks, advisory firm or lawyers, but I think it's quite interesting and I hope that you will enjoy the conference of today. Today it's the annual conference and we celebrate the 31st anniversary of the association. And we have interesting topics. So we have 6 sponsors, 5 presentations, and I hope that you will enjoy the presentation today. But first, let me remind you the title of this conference is Treasury in Fast-Changing World and in Turbulent Times. And so I will try to set up the scene and give you a few figures coming from our last European and global Treasury surveys, the EACT survey and the PwC survey. So maybe before starting with a different presentation, let's start. As I say, fast-changing world, but what is quite amazing, the Treasury is even changing and evolving faster. So today we will address a few of the key issues you will face in your day-to-day job, and I think that we will cover quite a broad scope of priorities for corporate treasury in the coming years. So as I say, it's quite important to see that the speed of some changes, it's quite fast and sometimes faster than the speed of the geopolitical issues and regulations. So technology is part of this, let's say, evolution and fast evolution. So things are changing quite fast. So how could we make sure that we are at, let's say, the same speed as the evolution of the world is quite important, especially for Treasury. If you look back at the last 5 years, priorities were quasi the same. When you look at the European Association of Corporate Treasurers priorities, cash flow forecasting and visibility is still a key priority. Technology, treasury technology, infrastructure and replacement, because we are still replacing or implementing TMSs. So before thinking about the digital transformation, no, it's more long-term funding, you can imagine, after the pickup of interest rate, because a survey was made in January and Feb. At the time, the interest rate was still high. Working capital was a priority. No, it's maybe lower priority, but still optimization of work cap is quite important. And as you can see, the treasury technology infrastructure replacement is still an issue. We have a lot of RFPs ongoing in Europe and also in Luxembourg. If you look at the interesting PwC Treasury Global Survey, the 2025, it's every 2 years. You can see that on their website. You can see what are priorities for CFOs and priorities for treasurers. And you can see that they are quite aligned. It's just a question of ranking, but at the end of the day, it's very similar to our priorities. What is not surprising, but interesting to notice. And you can see that some of the points we will address today are linked to these priorities. Of course, we have the fraud, cyber risk we will address with Barclays. We will talk about the regulation, technology, and some of the, let's say, issues we will have to face in the coming months. If you look at the priorities from the EACT, again, maybe it's a bit too small, but you can find the full and detailed survey on our website. And by the way, in Jan-Feb in 26, we will again launch a survey, adding a couple of questions because the world is changing, so we need to add new questions about the technology because it's quite important to make sure that we know where we stand. We will talk today about instant payment and VOP. We would like to see where we stand with VOP. Does it work? Because it seems that banks and some IT vendors are a bit behind, so although the deadline, I remind you, it's the 9th of October, so this week. So, how can Treasury function, let's say, stay ahead of both technological and macroeconomic disruption, and also to still comply with the new regulations? And sometimes regulation could be ahead of technology. Look at MiCA, look at what we are doing at the moment with the ACT and with the EU. So we try to shape the future. So sometimes PSD2 was a good example. PSD3 is ahead of a lot of things. But we know that the digital euro, the stable coins and all this kind of issue will come very soon. And is resilient today more about risk management or about agility? Maybe it's a combination of both. So that is a question I would like to address, or the questions we would like to address today with the different speakers in the presentation. So enjoy the annual conference and let's start with the first presentation.